Yeah, this is Mark Abel with the Athens in Motion Commission, and this is a meeting of the Grants and Data Subcommittee. I'm chairing the meeting. James Barlament is the one of two other members in the committee. The third member is currently so far unable to join us, and Stephen Bailey from Transportation Public Works is also joining us. So thanks for being here. So the point we're discussing is where to apply for funding. We'd like to get funding to provide wayfinding for people to get safely to the greenway. So if you're at a school, how do you safely go from the school to that greenway, the nearest greenway or the nearest multi-use path that's near you? And it should be kind of standardized. It should be consistent with other signage. It should be consistent with, standards set by the Department of Transportation and Public Works. So we are thinking probably in the neighborhood of $10,000 or so in terms of funding. It could, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. It'll depend on what the funding agency is looking for. And so, James, you said there were some potential state funding from Department of Highway Safety, and then you were mentioning some other sources.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the one that I was looking at was the Governor's Office of Highway Safety, GOHS, and they do fund, and they have funded in the past programs put on by bike organizations, PED organizations. Those would be included in their non-law enforcement grants. They also have what they call YA grants, which are young adult grants. I'm not sure if this would be appropriate for that. But it looks like their due date is normally around April 1st. So we would have a little bit of time to prepare. I don't know if that's a kind of a long time away. The federal year just started on October 1st. And so the cycle would be submit by April 1st, and then you'd know by the summer whether you're going to start your program on October 1st or not. So this is kind of, very early in that process for them. Trying to find a list of current grantees and see, if there are any similar projects that are being funded right now, but I can't seem to find that. But I do know that bike and PED organizations have been funded in the past. And I don't know if it's ever been for a program like this, like a wayfinding program. But I would say that a $10,000, $10,000 to $15,000 budget would be relatively doable for them. Just from prior experience. I've actually, when I used to work in traffic safety, I've written quite a few of these grants actually myself. That's how the Traffic Safety Research and Evaluation Group was funded, and continues to be funded to the best of my knowledge. That's Carol Cotton's group. We were funded through the governor's office through this grant program. So every year that I worked there, so I submitted 7 or 8 of these myself. So it's a pretty straightforward grant process. Not really a lot of writing involved. There is some narrative involved, but it's all pretty doable.
Yeah. Like I said, I write fast and a lot. So that's no problem. That's one of my superpowers, is writing very fast.
That's a good superpower.
Maybe my only one. I'm pretty sure my only one. Yeah. Anyway, so no, I will definitely take the first draft, and certainly an April 1st deadline is, easily doable. I could do it in a lot sooner than that if we found something else. Now, there is also Georgia Healthcare Foundation, which does community projects oriented toward health. And so I think you could pitch it that way as well. As far as I know, there's no reason we couldn't apply for a state funding source and a NGO community foundation funding source simultaneously. You obviously have to tell them if you get both, you have to sort out with each one how you're going to do that, or if you're going to get both. But yeah, you can't send the same grant into 2 federal agencies, but I don't think that's necessarily, if you spin it a little bit differently, a problem with the NGOs.
Yeah, the supplanting isn't as much of an issue there.
Yeah, that's right. So let me make a note of that I will look into the Georgia Healthcare Foundation,
Okay.
and that's basically funding. When Blue Cross Blue Shield went private, they had to basically set up a large pot of money in each state where they went private, and that's now a nonprofit foundation.
Okay.
And they generally fund, in that range of 5 to 25,000. So they're kind of in that range, and I think this might look a little different to them. A lot of the stuff they fund is around, obesity, diabetes, but you can really spin this in from a health perspective, I think, very legitimately, and I, could find the data for that. So I'll look
Absolutely.
into that. I'll look into if there are any safe routes, NGOs out there, but I don't. In my quick looking around, they didn't
Yeah.
look like they had any funding.
Yeah, I'm quickly looking around too, and I haven't seen anything on whether they're going to release that RFP or not this year, at least from the federal side.
For the federal side, yeah, and yeah, when I look at their resources, there aren't any real resources. I mean, it's good information. There's good information in webinars and things like that, but I don't think there's any funding.
And those tend to be pretty big if they're from the feds.
Mhm.
Aren't they kind of like 250 to 500,000 in that range or something like that?
I have no idea. No idea.
It's seems
So let's see. There is something about state network, safe routes to school, state programs. I'll read into that a little bit more. I'm not sure if Georgia would be part of that, or if
okay.
that's still. I'm looking at examples. They give 4 examples. Please see our state pages, and then there's a redirect. So that's a dead link. Okay. There you go. But I'll look more into the health side and the state side. If you could look at the federal, just kind of confirm that that's no longer a viable option, that'd be good.
Yeah, I'll look into that, and I'll also look at the governor's office to find out more about that one. Make sure it's going to be available.
Right. Yeah. If you could look into that, that's just not my world, so I appreciate it. But I'll look into I'll take the nonprofit side and see if I can find anything, because that's the kind of they like to fund, and those kind of sort of high visibility local projects that don't have too big a budget. I think this would kind of fit into that.
Do you know if there? I know there have been in the past like local foundations. Like one I'm thinking about, and I was connected to them for a while, was the Athens Community Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how they're operating now. But this could be something that they would be interested in based on the conversations I've had in that room in the past. That's a organization that it's like a community treasure chest for local programs. I know that like Chess and Community has gotten money from them in the past. Programs like that. I guess you could also think about the what is the Creature Comforts program? The was it like Get Curious or something like that?
Get curious or get comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. Like one of those local organizations might have some interest in this, since the budget isn't, it's not like a max out budget for anybody.
Yeah. Athens Area Community Foundation. I was aware of that, but they've actually gave $2 million in grants in 2019 and have 13 million in assets right now.
Well,
yeah. Hello.
If you're looking for contacts over there, Sarah McKinney, I've actually worked pretty closely with her with the COVID related stuff that we've been doing for the last few months. So
you said Sarah McKinney?
Yeah,
she's
she's great. She's a pretty good person to know around town.
Yeah.
And,
I just see I'm on their website. I just see Bob Carson, a picture of Bob Carson. And Bob's our financial advisor and a friend, so I could also reach out to him.
Yeah, so he's been like I've been to a few of their meetings. I was working with her in connection to the Athens Wellbeing Project years back with Grace Bagwell Adams. So yeah, I feel like this might be something that they would be interested in. I don't know about you, Stephen. Possibly.
And could potentially do it on a somewhat bigger scale, or at least, instead of a 10,000, maybe a $25,000 budget or something like that.
Possibly.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, they're certainly giving some substantial funding out. Let me. So if you can do you have Sarah McKinney's contact information?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
Okay, if you could send me that, I'll just. Oh yeah, if you can do it, that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be really good. Always good to have a personal contact.
Yeah. Let me make sure I still have it.
Okay. Well, I feel like we got some good ideas to go forward with, and I feel like you're having to do all the work, James, but that's okay.
Oh no, that's fine.
I don't mind at all.
The meeting. And you're the one who's going to be writing really fast, right?
There you go. I will. I promise. One of my students was asking the other day. I was we're supposed to talk about our research, and she had looked it up, and I had like 25 publications this year. And she's like, "How do you do it?" And I said, "Well, I write really fast." At this point in my career, but there were better answers that I gave, but one of them is actually writing pretty fast.
You just write fast.
Is there a connection is it is the name of this fund Get Curious or Get Comfortable, or is it just Get Comfortable, or
I think it's
for comforts?
I think it's Get Comfortable. And Fenwick Broyard started working for them, and he was working for CCFP for a little while, and I've worked with him through different projects over the years. I could reach out to him and see if he's got some knowledge of how that works. I have no idea how that one works. I just know it's there and it's funded different things in the past. But yeah, I guess the only thing that somebody might say is, funding for like wayfinding. They might say, shouldn't the city be doing something like that? But if the money is out there and I think we'd have a strong proposal. It's a strong idea. They would take interest. I just don't know if they've ever funded like a commission. Are we considered like a city subcommission or something like that? What are we?
Well, we're not. I think we're chartered by the city as a commission, but we're not part of the city government directly. So the funding would be held separately, I think. I mean, I think it behaves like the Greenway Commission. Stephen, I don't know if you can add to that.
That's all I was going to say. Was the closest comparison would be Greenway Commission.
Yeah, and the Greenway Commission has done fundraising and written grants and identified projects. And they're basically, I think you make the argument, these are things that are not going to be funded. They're not in the city's current planning, and we also have as a group a lot of expertise. Not that Stephen doesn't know how to do this either, but I'm just trying to make these arguments that we've got the community perspective on this, and we work closely with the schools and blah blah blah.
Right. So when I write to somebody like Sarah McKinney, I would say it's the Athens in Motion Commission, which is affiliated with the city, but not exactly part of the city government. I feel like it's more of an advocacy group.
Yeah, it's partially, I would say it's partially advocacy and partially a forum for community input into these bike and pedestrian projects.
Gotcha. Okay.
I guess I don't know if that's official language. Carol could do it better, but I think that might suffice.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and I mean the goal is to get kids more active and kids and adults more active, and that we are a community where there's a lot of transients, people who come in here for a few years and don't really even know that there is a Greenway or how to get to it. So we'd be raising awareness of the Greenway as well. Yeah.
Okay.
If a sign points to the Greenway, people are going, "Oh, there's a Greenway. Oh, okay." So I'll go there.
Yeah. And something like this too, if they fund it, if Athens Area Community Fund or Creature Comforts funds it, they could always
Mhm.
advertise on it too, especially, Creature Comforts.
Mhm.
So that might be attractive as well. So I'll try to come up with an email to Sarah and Fenwick, and I'll send it by you, Mark, before I send it to anybody, just to make sure
Okay.
I'm saying things right.
Sure. Sounds good. Happy to do that. And I'll look into the Georgia Healthcare Foundation and see if I can find anything else in the nonprofit space. So sounds good. And
Okay.
do you have anything else to talk about on terms of data, anything else?
Not really. I mean, I think I sent an email. I reached out to Lawrence Harris about the school newsletters to see if that was an avenue, and I think there's still some inconsistency there amongst our schools. Who sends them out, how regularly they get sent out, how they send them out. It's just not as consistent right now. But if I could go forward and ask him, who are the most consistent schools right now, if we'd like to try to start including some messages in some of the newsletters that are being sent out on a consistent basis. If we want to wait for them to kind of get everything revamped and together from a communication side, we could do that.
Okay.
But I don't know. Lawrence is new. So the person who took Fenwick's job is new as well in his department, and then he's also kind of now over communications as well. So that's living underneath Lawrence, who's the director of community outreach, or I think that's something like that is his title. So I think that he's still kind of getting the lay of the land, as far as how communication works from school to school. So if we want to, like I said, try one of the schools that's getting information out to their parents on a consistent basis, we could try one of those schools, like a pilot or something like that.
Okay. Sounds good.
Two quick data points from my side. Our crash data intern will be starting tomorrow with Hillary. So we should, and from what I hear, there's not a whole lot left in that project. I think there's 1 year's worth of data left to analyze. So we should have that pretty soon, which will be great.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
And there was a second piece. I can't remember what it was. Give me a minute. I'll think, see if I can remember it. Oh, I got it. So this is probably more for the full group, but it does apply to data-related stuff. So we do have a contract being mailed to us right now for the prioritization piece for Athens in Motion projects from the same group that did the Athens in Motion master plan to begin with, Tool Design Group. And they're working to get that put together, as well as a piece that'll be sort of like a story map, public-facing story map that shows how you come to a prioritization with projects. It kind of shows geographically, equity scores and traffic scores and safety scores, that kind of thing.
Okay. Good.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? All right. So let's wrap up. I'll write up a short minutes and distribute that to the Athens in Motion folks. CC Hillary and Stephen on that.
Okay.
They will be short. I'm not going to, kill. Yeah, just a quick summary. I've taken some notes as we've been talking. So good. Well, I think we have a path forward. We should also set up another time to talk. When's our next Athens in Motion meeting? Is that 2 weeks from now, roughly? It's from tomorrow, maybe?
Let's see.
I should be able to look as well.
27th.
27th.
Okay. So yeah, 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, and it conflicts with another faculty meeting. Darn it! Guess which one I'm going to skip.
Can only guess.
Yeah. Well, this is important. This is public service. This is important. Okay, good. So I will get that together and we'll set up. So do you want to, I think we're okay. I don't think we need to meet again before the Ethics and Motion Commission meeting. But if we could be prepared, or maybe if you could just email me with what you found on the governor's site and those two nonprofits, if you can send that to me and I'll add what I find and then we can report that back to the commission in a couple of weeks.
Sure. Sounds good.
Okay. Appreciate it, James.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark. Thanks,
Keep,
Steve.
keep growing that beard, man.
I will.
I'm at the shaving the side of the face about once every week or so when it gets too annoying.
I'm thinking about shaving it in early November.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that whole Movember or whatever.
Or to coincide with a hopefully blessed event.
That's right. That's right. Let's see.
All
right. All right. Well, we will 27th. We'll talk to you then.
Sounds good.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Stephen. Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Bye.